In this brief video, I'll talk a little bit about bluebooking treaties, which can be time-consuming at first, but once you become familiar with the regular elements, you'll get more efficient at it. So Blue Book Rule 21.4 covers most of what you need for treaty citation, but Table T4 and the abbreviation tables for things like months are also necessary. You do want to pay attention to all the citation elements, so the names of the agreement, the subdivisions, date of signing, and source, and you may need to look in several places in the Blue Book to get all the relevant rules. So like I said, Rule 21.4 is the rule, and Rule 21.4.5 takes the lion's share of Rule 21.4, and it covers the sources. So take a look at 21.4.5 and see the hierarchical order in which the Blue Book lists those sources that it wants you to cite for treaties, depending on whether the U.S. is a party to the treaty. The Blue Book uses the language "if therein," meaning you have to check the sources, and they are listed in the order of preference to see if the treaty is published therein, and if not, check the other sources in that order of preference. If it is a recent treaty, you'll likely be citing to an unofficial source, and the Blue Book does cover that. As detailed and convoluted as it is, the Blue Book does not cover every detail. For example, which page number in a multi-language collection of treaties do you cite? Do you cite the first page of the treaty, no matter what language it's in, or the first page of the English language version of the treaty? So what I found sometimes is maybe if the Blue Book does not explicitly explain that particular situation, there may be an example that will shed light on it. So here, the example is for the UN Convention on the Law on the Sea. So I went ahead and looked that convention up in the UN Treaty Series, and it has it in a large number of different languages. So the very first language in which it appears on page 4 in the UNTS. The very first page of the English language version of it appears on page 397 in the UNTS. So then I go back to my example in the Blue Book and I see, okay, they cited to page 397. So then I know the Blue Book, I guess, expects me to cite to the first page of the English language version. Now, I guess certainly if you were citing to another language of it for a specific reason, then you would cite to that page of that other language version. Something else I wanted to point out, the date of signing, and it says to give the exact date of signing, and then they have other situations here when multiple dates of signing are given, or if the treaty is not signed on a single date. They address those situations and how you would cite that. But you'll see sometimes, actually a lot of the times, you'll see the term concluded used. I think a lot of the situations in treaties that are published in the United Nations Treaty Series, it will say concluded, and I have not been able to find anywhere in the Blue Book where they say anything about concluded. So just know, for the purposes of this class, consider concluded the same as signed. And I certainly will not be picky about that. But as for other types of dates here, if you were using the date it was open for signature, follow the Blue Book rule for that. If you're using the date that it was entered into force, follow the Blue Book rule for that, putting in a parenthetical at the end, because those carry a particular kind of significance. But I cannot see where concluded has a different significance. So with that, I'm going to leave you to look at the rules for which source to use and determine what the order of preference is, that hierarchy of preference is in the Blue Book, and when we do our in-class exercises, then you will be getting a little bit of practice, then looking to see if a particular treaty that you're looking for is in the sources that the Blue Book prefers for you to use. So with that, we will end this video.